Next, we will discuss the nature of statistics and what one should expect to learn in the Introductory Statistics course. There are many quotes in literature that describe statistics. Some are accurate and some are entertaining. Here are some of my favorite. There are three kinds of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics, by Benjamin Disraeli. Another similar one: there are two kinds of statistics, the kind you look up and the kind you make up, by Rex Stout. Statistics can be used to support anything, especially statisticians, said Franklin Jones. Some use statistics as a drunken man uses lamppost, for support rather than elimination, by Andrew Lang. And Mark Twain said, "Figures don't lie, liars figured." What is the subject of interest in statistics, and what should one expect to learn in an introductory statistics course? The science of statistics deals with any aspect of the collection, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. But what is data exactly? Data, plural of datum, are collections of observations. Why doesn't anyone know nor use the word datum? Because anywhere you look, you are bombarded with data. In the world we live in now, there is a great need for being able to properly handle data. Basically, anything that has to do with data is the subject of interest in a statistics course. In introductory statistics, we will learn the aspects of all stages of handling data. Most importantly, you will develop the critical thinking skills that will help you to process the data that you are surrounded with. But first, we introduce a few fundamental terms. The population is the collection of all individuals or items under consideration in a statistical study. A study that involves the entire population is called a census. Censuses were taken as long ago as Roman times. However, conducting a census may be time-consuming, costly, impractical, or even impossible. Two methods other than the census for obtaining information are sampling and experimentation. A sample is a part of the population from which information is obtained. Since the sample will be used to draw conclusions about the entire population, it should be a representative sample, a sample that reflects as closely as possible the relevant characteristics of the population under consideration. To see what can happen when a sample is not representative, consider the presidential election of 1936. Before the election, the Literary Digest magazine conducted an opinion poll of the voting population. Its survey team asked a sample of the voting population whether they would vote for Franklin Roosevelt, the Democratic candidate, or for Alfred Landon, the Republican candidate. Based on the results of the survey, the magazine predicted an easy win for Landon. But when the actual election results were in, Roosevelt won by the greatest landslide in the history of presidential elections. What happened? The sample was obtained from among people who owned a car or had a telephone. In 1936, that group included only the more well-to-do people, and historically such people tend to vote Republican. Over the centuries, records of such things as births, deaths, marriages, and taxes led naturally to the development of methods for organizing and summarizing information, called descriptive statistics. Major developments began to occur with the research of Carl Pearson and Ronald Fisher, who published their findings in the early years of the 20th century. The methods that were established for drawing and measuring the reliability of conclusions about the population based on information obtained from a sample of the population are now called inferential statistics. Historically, descriptive statistics appeared before inferential statistics. Although inferential statistics is a newer arrival, since the work of Pearson and Fisher, it has evolved rapidly and is now applied in a myriad of fields. Familiarity with statistics will help you make sense of many things you read in newspapers, magazines, and on the internet, or watch in the news. Let's consider the following example. In 1948, the Washington Senators played 153 games, winning 56 and losing 97. They finished 7th in the American League and were led in hitting by Bud Stewart, whose batting average was 0.279. Baseball statisticians compile this and many other statistics by organizing the complete records for each game of the season. Do you think this example demonstrates the methods of descriptive or inferential statistics? The correct answer is descriptive, since we have simply presented the record of Bud Stewart and his team performance without any attempt to make any predictions whatsoever. Consider another example. In the fall of 1948, the Gallup poll, taken just prior to the election, predicted that President Truman would win only 44.5% of the vote and be defeated by the Republican nominee, Thomas Dewey. Do you think this example demonstrates the methods of descriptive or inferential statistics? The correct answer is inferential, since we are trying to estimate the opinion of the entire population based on the sample. In reality, the statisticians had predicted it wrong. Truman won more than 49% of the vote and with it the presidency. The Gallup organization modified some of its procedures and has correctly predicted the winner many times since then. A statistical study is the process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and presenting data. We can distinguish several stages in a statistical study. Prepare. At this stage, a researcher will decide the purpose and the methods of the statistical study. Collect. At this stage, a researcher will collect the data in a way decided at the previous stage. Process. At this stage, a researcher will summarize the data or will perform a certain statistical procedure with it. Conclude. At this stage, a researcher will interpret the results of the study based on the purpose and the set goal. We just discussed the nature of statistics and what one should expect to learn in an introductory statistics course. Next, we will discuss one by one all the stages of a statistical study.